We will have presentation about application of procedures, which is probably the most important step in development of this system we have. Actually, we will have a case where we want to initiate, for instance, employment of new member. There is some procedure that we need to follow. How we will approach this? We have engineer at site, let's say, who has difficulties coping with the workload, and he needs to initiate somehow the whole process of employment additional manpower in order to fulfill the duties on site. So how he will do this? He will go to OneNote, he will go to procedures, he will search human resources page and employment. What happens here is you have the whole diagram, the whole procedure is very well outlined here. That's why we need to develop all these procedures for every step, for every kind of organizational step, reporting step, whatsoever in the organization. He will take it, he will look at it, how it goes, diagram. He will be the initiator, so he will initiate the procedure, and here is request given to department manager for evaluation. Request must contain job title, detailed work description and requirements. So this is his work to do, initiate the process. And here it's well explained how the whole flow of the process will go. So what he needs to do is he needs to say, okay, I need, let's say, QA/QC additional supervisor. We don't have enough resources to do the whole supervision of all the subcontractors and works. So he will go to his manager, he can send him an email or however. Maybe we will even have a request form. This is something we need to discuss still, and these are the things we need to consider, and these are the things we need to develop. So for instance, this is an ID I just have, so a request form, or let's put it like this. I will put here to-do list with IDs. I can put it here, no problem. So you can do the same. So I want your inputs. We can put here at top, for instance, to-do list for this particular procedure, and we say, for instance, let's put it like this: create request form for initiation. Initiation. When it will be created, we will put it here on this place, so everybody will know, okay, this is request form, I need to send to my manager. And this request form will probably contain all what is mentioned in the first step of initiation procedure that needs to be delivered to the manager, which means job title, work description, and requirements, or expectations, or however. So this will be somehow the basis for initiation. So he will give this to his manager, and manager will follow, of course, this process. And if manager doesn't know the process, he has all the procedures available in OneNote. He can also go to OneNote, Docum General, Procedures section and subpage Employment, and he can check the actual flow, what he needs to do, where everything is actually outlined. So when he will forward, if this request is granted, he will forward it to human resources and project management. If not, it will be returned back to initiator. and then they will discuss further how to proceed. Maybe some optimization will be applied, maybe some other forms will be utilized. It depends. So this will be a matter of discussion. However, what's the point is that we have here also the communication flow, which is defined for this. Which means, let's say that INC engineer, okay, I said before a QA/QC supervisor, he initiated, he filled up the form, which is given up, yeah, which we will probably create. He will hand it over to the manager. Manager will hand it over to department manager, and department manager will forward it to human resources, to project management and human resources. What human resources will do? So now this is the key actually, how we will use and how we will utilize OneNote in departments and for each procedure. We will actually copy the whole page. We will go to recruitment in administration. So this will be done by human resources, which have access to Ducom administration. They will go here. They will add page. They will name this page QA QC supervisor. And they will actually paste the whole page with the procedure here. That's how they will have the full checklist. What we don't need is diagram, because we have already one diagram, it's enough. We can also delete this file. This to do, we will, of course, it will not be here. Steps we can keep, and everything else we can delete. And now we have a checklist, which means initiation by anyone in the company structure, preposition for additional staff requirement, this was already done. So we will check it as done. We will also rename this employment, and we will have, I don't know, we have to define this still, but let's say that we will have the whole process will be called employment. It's okay. Employment can be. So the first step will be done. Notes, we can put notes here. For instance, QA, QC, supervisor, name and surname, initiated the request, QA, QC manager approved, responsible for this step was QA QC manager. Deadline, we don't have a deadline. However, for this initiation step, we don't have a deadline, so we can put non-applicable. For instance, department manager rejects or approves requests and conveys it to HR department. Yes, he already approved. So QA QC manager approved. Responsible QA QC manager. Deadline non-applicable, or maybe when the first step was done, maybe deadline was initiation plus, let's say, 3 days. Maybe we can put here instead of deadline when initiation happened, maybe let's say 31st of May 2019, which means initiations plus 3 days will be 3rd of June. Then we have HR or management approve or rejects request. If approved, general conditions are defined and conveyed to recruitment agency by HR department. Okay, and now we have a timeline. Now human resources department will make a plan, and this plan will be, okay, now we approved, so they want to proceed. They approved it, so HR approved. Candidates will be uh, probably counting for candidate will commence. And now human resources department can make a plan and they can say, okay, initiation plus 10 days. Then we have recruitment agency provides candidates, initiation plus 15 days, and so on. So in this manner, we go to the end, HR department forwards, so, and we can make an outline plan here, what we can do, not just, we don't just define deadline here, we can also assign, for instance, recruitment agency provides candidates based on conditions given. What we can actually do, we can actually create a reminder or a task, which we can do Outlook by Outlook task. You have a function here, and you make it custom. Now the Outlook will open, and what we can do, here we can put the subject in, recruitment of QA, QC supervisor, as we already said. Start date, we can define 9th, due date, let's say 20th. Status, we can define status, completion, who is the owner of the task. We can assign task to some person. So for instance, we can assign task to, let's just make it test. We will put Alfredo here. And we can put a message body or whatsoever, so all information. Follow up, for instance, we can define when. Here we said that it's custom, and we say send. What will happen? Email will be sent to Alfredo. In this case, should be actually recruitment agency, and also reminder will be set. And here we also have a reminder, as it says, when it's due, when it's not, and we will have a status updated here all the time. So, and we can develop this in such a way that it will actually remind us what is to be done, when is to be done, and who is responsible. And what we can do and what human resources can do can follow up the whole process. And, of course, since this was initiated, somebody will have to be responsible for this task. Hence, the human resources administrator will go to to-do list and will, for instance, if Alia will be doing this, he will assign Alia. He will write here, recruitment of QA, QC supervisor, notes, responsible Alia, due date, we can define also due date here. Let's say until 1st of July 2019, he needs to be recruited. And what we can do in notes, actually, this is also a good function of OneNote is cross-referencing. For instance, we have recruitment here, and we started the process. What we can do, we can copy and paste the links to certain pages. For instance, what we can do now, we can copy the link to QA/QC supervisor page, main page. What we can also do to sub page, and we say copy link to page. We go to Alia, back, and we put to note into the note section. We put this link, and then we can just click on this. For instance, when she will be checking her to-do list, she can click on this link, and it will throw her instantly into sub-page or page of this task. When we will get CVs by mail, usually, we get CVs from agency. What we will do, we have a candidates matrix and decision matrix. For instance, Let me search for the appropriate one. Drafter. Yes, let's say, okay, or for instance, cost estimator. We have this page here with candidates, and this is actually, just to explain, we copy again and paste this page at the end, and we have candidates here. We can delete what was before inserted. We have here empty matrix where we will put actually CVs, position, names, Skype ID, contacts, and so on of the candidates. And then when we are conducting the interviews, we will put evaluations in this matrix. And at the end of the day, we will make a decision. Salary, we will also delete this one. Anyhow, generally, what we can do as a guidance here, we can put some conditions, for instance, salaries or expectations, or anyhow, or definitions or the conditions that were given. For instance, what we could do is, all this is theoretical and is in development actually. So when I'm actually giving you the guidance, I'm getting ideas. What we could do, since before I already said that it would be good for initiation to have a form. And this filled up form, we could insert here in the main page of QA/QC Supervisor. So I will put here again to list, insert, initiation, employment, initiation form. Filled out by initiator and approved by department manager, project management, and human resources department. This form will contain actually containing all information and guidelines about conditions of employment, qualifications, requirements, etc. So this will be actually here included in the main page, and then we have sub-page employment, we have a checklist, we have candidates, we have checklist, and then we can add sub-pages, for instance, mobilization or whatsoever. Since we have a procedure very well defined, we can go and check again the procedure. When we select actual candidate who will be deployed, we need to provide him following: visa, travel arrangements, accommodation arrangements, SIM card, laptop, PPE, open OneNote, personal dossier, and so on. So these are all sub-procedures which will all have pages here. We have to still define them, and they will have links, so we can follow up really thoroughly each step of employment process. And we have everything recorded, we have everything saved, logged. So when the candidate is selected, we will mark here, this candidate is selected. We will open for him personal dossier, like for instance now here Francisco or Gasper or whoever, with all detailed information about his traveling, SIM cards, email address, everything that needs to be given to him will be given to him, and here we can have even a checklist. For instance, before we said that he needs to be given a laptop, so we can add in this table, which still it's not added by now, but what we can do is we can also add if this individual received a phone. So we can put here section equipment, and we can note here Xiaomi phone SIM card, PPE equipment, a laptop, and model of laptop, etc. This will actually serve very good at the end of the project when we will actually, I don't even know how it's spelled, Xiaomi, probably like this, but this will serve for us since this all equipment needs to be given back into possession of the company, and it's very easy. We have here the status, it was given, we can check it as given, all of them, and then we can have here returned and date, and who, for instance, received it. Received by, and we have again, returned or not, we can make a checklist, date, we can leave, for now, we can leave open, and received by, probably Alfredo or whoever, in case, for instance, maybe at the end of 2020, 1st of December, I will give Xiaomi phone back to the company. So here we can actually very nicely track all the activities. And this is somehow quite important for us. So this was just one example of application of the system on employment basis. So anyhow, they will follow more, and we need to develop all these procedures so we will be able to follow them up accordingly. Thank you.